Unless you've been living under an iceberg, you've probably seen stories about people moving onto cruise ships full-time as passengers. It sounds insane, until you realize it might actually be cheaper than living on land. Imagine waking up every day to ocean views, enjoying unlimited free food, occasional horn blasts, Broadway-style entertainment, access to the pools and water slides, and stops at ports where you can get off the ship to explore. All for what, in theory, should cost less than it does to live in a real city. To some, that may seem like a dream come true. Yet I can't help but wonder if all that would be worth leaving behind your family, your friends, your entire presence on soil, just to live out of a suitcase in a 150 square foot cabin on the 7 seas. But I figured there's no way I'll ever know what it's really like unless I try it for myself. So today, I'll be setting sail on this beauty behind me to test out every aspect of life on board. Starting with my cabin. Oh my goodness. It is both better and worse than I was expecting. Now for the purposes of this video, I chose the lowest price room with no windows. So I have a twin bunk bed, a closet about the same size as me. Ow, actually it's shorter. It does have a safe, bedside table and nightstand, and let's see the bathroom. Nice shower. Nice shower, ish. I assume it works. Hey, there I am. A mirror. Actually a marble sink, a wall-mounted toilet, a desk where I'll be working, and there's a pretty constant noise, which is genuinely awful. See if you can hear it. It's coming from here, maybe. I don't know if this is something I'm gonna get used to. But as of now, I really can't see myself spending too much time in here without wearing like noise-canceling headphones at all times.
The next day.
Morning update, it was rough. Oh my gosh. The battery on my AirPods only lasts around 3 hours. Let's just say I heard a lot of noise. I'm going to investigate the noise right now. We're gonna go one floor directly above where I am. Let's see here. It's in the restaurant. Oh my god, that's it. Okay, so I walked up and there was a literal hole in the floor of the kitchen. And I said, what is the problem? And he said, there was a bearing broken. I don't know what that means, but it's directly above my room. Okay, great news, I got a resolution. I went to guest services and played them the video of the noise from the room because it just got so obnoxious. And they very kindly offered to move my cabin, which is, I suppose, the bare minimum, but they did make it right. So let's go check out my new digs. All right, looks like the same room style, but slightly different execution. Very different bathroom. Now there's no glass in front of the shower, just a curtain. Ah, this is the thing of my nightmares before. But the one noticeably different thing is no noise. Hallelujah. The first step to living on a cruise ship is choosing which one you want to call home. They come in all shapes and sizes. Small, big forehead. But having been on several cruises before, I knew I wanted to find one that could actually feel like home, with enough of the same amenities I'm used to having access to on land so that life in the middle of the ocean could feel as normal as possible, especially since I'll be doing this solo. And luckily for me, a new ship has docked right here in LA's backyard that should fit that bill. It's called the Carnival Firenze, and unlike your typical Carnival cruise ship, printed on the side of the vessel are the words Fun Italian Style, because everything inside is themed to be like a floating version of Italy, as evidenced by the Marzocco Lion of Florence sitting atop a pillar above the bar. There's dozens of themed restaurants, gelato, lounges, Italian shows, and even a statue of David. It's not quite Michelangelo's David, as apparently Carnival didn't have the balls to display him nude like they do in the actual Italy. But the fact that there's theme park-like immersion on a Carnival cruise ship was enough to win me over. Like, I love that anytime I'm missing land, I can dine in this area with beautiful fake trees, or simply step over to this balcony and look right into a wallpaper of one of the most picturesque countries in the world. The only dead giveaway that this isn't the real Italy is the fact that there's an American flag strung down the lobby. Now, I think one of the most important things to do while living on a cruise ship is get fresh air and exercise. And there is truly no better place to do so. I mean, how could you complain about an ocean view? Actually, the lady walking by me like 2 seconds ago was complaining that it was too windy and cold. I think it's wonderful. The ship has a jogging track, sports court, and you can even elevate your workout literally with a ropes course. There's also a gym, which I've tried, but I'm more of an outdoors guy myself, so I'm gonna take some laps around the ship so I don't go insane. Now, as nice as the vessel itself is, without any onboard entertainment, I would probably start to go a little crazy. The time I'd normally spend on my phone scrolling TikTok now feels like a luxury, because unfortunately, Wi-Fi is not included in the price of your cruise fare. And if you want a speed good enough for video streaming, that comes at a premium of $24 per day. That's over $700 a month just for internet, but it's basically a must if you're working remotely to afford living on the ship. Then if you want to watch anything in your stateroom other than what's on the TV, you're stuck with whatever you have downloaded to your devices, which in my case was a horrifying knockoff of the movie Coco.
If Mama loved us so much, why did she go away?
I knew the day would come when you would ask these questions, Chicky.
You knew Mama was leaving us and you were okay with it?
See?
However, in the spirit of doing this as cheap as possible, I'm opting to fill my time for entertainment with only the included options on board. They have a mini golf course, I think 2 pools, 3 water slides, 4 hot tubs, and they also play new movies on the big screen for free. But the pool deck is more notably home to a pretty wild party scene, with the fun led by none other than, you guessed it, Thing 1, Thing 2, and the Cat in the Hat. Now, for more traditional entertainment, the ship has a rotating set of comedians, pianists, violinists, trivia contests where the prize is a ship on a stick that goes for about $5 on eBay, and stage musicals in the theater with performances of classic tunes like But no matter what cruise line you choose, they all repeat the same shows every voyage. So I don't know how often you realistically could enjoy the entertainment long term. They do occasionally switch things up to where, like, instead of singing and dancing, the stage is used for a twerking competition.
That's right, come on, hit it, bam, 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 that's right, okay.
But I get the sense that for a lot of the 4,400 passengers, their primary sources of entertainment are the casino, where you have to pay to play, drinking at the bar, which also costs money, and of course, the food. Now, there's nearly 20 restaurants on board this ship, and your cruise fare includes unlimited free food 24 hours a day. But not every restaurant on board serves that free food. There's a number of premium upcharge restaurants like this teppanyaki joint, a steakhouse, a sushi place, their Italian restaurant, an off-brand Starbucks. And I imagine living on the ship full time, you'd probably splurge every once in a while just to get some variety. Yet I would say at least half of the people just get food from the included buffet, which is someplace you won't often find me. Not because the food is bad or the serving utensils aren't clean when the crew sets them out. They even have hand washing stations for the guests. But I haven't seen many people use them. And after everyone's touched the tongs and breathed all over the French toast, I'm just not personally interested in it anymore. There are several other free quick service restaurants where a crew member behind the counter prepares your plate, which I often do for things like a chicken biscuit and pancakes or Guy Fieri's Italian hamburgers, which yes, is a real restaurant on the Carnival Firenze, alongside an off-brand Chipotle and a fresh-made pizza place, which actually was really good. However, also included in your cruise fare is the fancy main dining room, which offers a sit-down breakfast with options like steak and eggs, as well as a 3-course dinner every evening. And tonight is an event on the ship known as Cruise Elegant. They've been promoting it all week. Essentially, they want to make sure that all your days on the ship don't start to run together, so sometimes they'll have a theme night to make the evening a little bit different. And tonight's is inspired by Venice, Italy. So earlier today, they held a Venetian mask making workshop, and they have strongly encouraged everyone to wear theirs to dinner. This is my fit check. I'm pretty darn elegant. I hope I'm not the only one who follows the dress code.
2 hours later.
All right, so I am back. I sat through the whole dinner and I only saw one other person in the entire restaurant wearing a mask. I thought it was a little strange that basically nobody else was participating in this thing that they've been hyping up for the entire cruise. I'm kind of surprised they let him in here tonight, breaking the dress code. But walking back to my room, all of a sudden I heard this strings music and all these other passengers dressed like me. Then I realized that I wasn't supposed to wear the mask to dinner, but rather this Venetian toast which was in the main atrium. I went to the wrong place. But hey, I felt elegant, and I guess that's really what ultimately matters. Not every day living on a cruise ship has to be spent entirely on the ship, because most voyages stop at around 2 to 5 different ports every week where you can get off and explore the town for a day, and maybe even connect to local cell phone towers or public Wi-Fi, granting you access to the internet. But on the second morning of my cruise, I received a surprise letter from the Carnival Cruise Line social media team inviting me to try out 2 of their Carnival Adventures shore excursions. Now, to be clear, I paid for this cruise myself, just like every other passenger on board, and this video is not sponsored by Carnival. However, 2 local businesses that contract with them to provide Carnival Adventures offered to host me as a content creator. So that way I can show you all what kinds of activities that someone living on board would be able to book for like a day of fun out at the port. In this case, it's parasailing at Catalina Island and ziplining in Ensenada, Mexico. But first, I checked out what you can do for free the morning we docked at Catalina Island, or rather near Catalina Island, because in order to reach Catalina Island, you must first exit the ship onto a smaller boat that takes you to the shore. A lot of people rent golf carts for $65 an hour that you can drive around the mountain roads, but I decided just to use my feet and just hike up to this incredible viewpoint for free. Well, this is definitely a perk of cruise ship life. I mean, look at this view. This is one of the single most beautiful places I have seen in my entire life. And it's amazing, I'm literally the only person here. I get this entire paradise to myself. Then it was time to go parasailing, and let me tell you, I was expecting to get battered around up there. You see them from a distance and you're like, oh my gosh, that looks so scary. But let me tell you, it was so smooth. You're really just like tranquilly gliding through the air up there with the town below. They actually paired me up with a 72-year-old woman who told me that parasailing was on her bucket list, and there's really no better place to do it with views like this. Then over in Ensenada, Mexico, we went on a pretty wild off-road van ride to get up to this 2.3 mile long zipline course above the Rocky Mountain Desert. There's 5 ziplines total, and they are no joke. The first one especially was so intense and truly a genuine thrill, which I love and would do again anytime. So for someone living aboard an eternal cruise vacation, I think this would be viewed as like a somehow much needed mini vacation from that. But obviously tourism plays a huge part in keeping a lot of these ports afloat, so it can be both fun and a great way to help out the local economy. So thank you to Carnival Adventures for having me out on these, well, adventures. In total, with tax, tips, and fees, I paid $148 a day for my interior cabin, which includes everything I did and ate on board the ship, except for this scoop of gelato, which I got once for $3, the ship's Wi-Fi, which I never actually purchased, but would cost $24 for every day you need to buy it, and the 2 Carnival Adventures where I was hosted, but each was valued at around $100 per person. But cruise prices vary widely between every voyage. I've seen seen rates on this ship as low as $100 a day during the off-season and as high as $300 a day during the week of Christmas. However, the average cost of living in the US is said to be $153 a day for one person, which is more than what I paid. So as a vacation, I think it's absolutely worth it. You're really not going to get a better value on land, especially if you're a couple or a family, since many cruise lines just charge that one flat rate for the cabin up to 3 or 4 people. I think the food alone here could justify the cost. But as a solo traveler trying to make the ship your permanent home, it comes down to more than just price. For one, you have to be able to work remotely or have some passive source of income. You can't have any pets, and making any lasting human friendships is basically impossible since everyone you meet is going to be gone within like 3 to 7 days. But if you're okay with that, it is true that you never have to deal with most of life's everyday annoyances, except for like laundry and boredom. There's no sitting in traffic, making your bed, mowing the grass, cooking, but you also don't even have the option to cook if you wanted to. And as decent as I found the food and the variety of options to be, I know that I started to crave a home-cooked meal about 3 days in. So as you can probably tell by the fact that I'm in a home, I've opted not to make the cruise ship my home. I will almost certainly return onto one for a vacation sometime in the future, maybe in a balcony cabin next time. But for now, I'm trading ocean views for my next adventure.